Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Tattoo Homewreckers, a podcast where we talk... What is your deal? A podcast where we talk about...
I never have my hair done. It's really fun to hit you with it.
Lou is currently harassing me. That's how you're starting this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back. If we sound a little bit sick, it's because I'm getting a little bit sick. Same with Lou. We're just kind of fighting something off.
I like to reframe that really fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not saying anything's wrong with what you're saying.
No, you're good.
But I like to reframe it as I'm not getting sick because I feel like that's giving in to the sickness. But indeed, because you're not necessarily getting sick. You got sick the moment.
Sickness is conquering me.
No, it's not conquering. Your body is successfully fighting it, which is why you only feel a little bit sick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that your immune system is doing its job.
We're currently fighting something off right now.
Exactly. We're like, in the fucking...
In the boxing ring.
Oh, yeah. I was going to be real nerdy and go like full on.
What were you going to say?
I wasn't going the Roman Empire. I was going Lord of the Rings.
What the hell?
Yeah, we're currently battling the ring wraiths.
Oh my god. I haven't not done any Lord of the Ring tattoos, and I'm really sad about it. Actually, you know what? I've done a few, but I haven't done like solely just Lord of the Rings. A lot of the times when people come in for tattoos, I don't know why, it's like a mix of like different fandoms. Yeah. So I haven't been able to just do a solely just Lord of the Rings tattoo.
We should probably finish the intro. Welcome to Tattoo Homewreckers, where we talk about tattoos, as you can see this episode. Sometimes every once in a while. Life and everything in between. My name is Lou, and this is...
Callista.
And what does your gender feel like today, Callista? I am on one.
You are on one. To be honest with you guys, I also woke up maybe 30 minutes ago.
Don't lie. You woke up 18 minutes ago. 16 minutes ago.
Yeah, my head popped up and fucking Lou was at my doorway. I was like, oh God, what time is it? Because we agreed to fucking record at 8 o'clock. And I was still asleep. My gender today feels like... this is going to sound weird, but have you ever seen those smooth, like river stones?
Yes.
That's kind of what it feels like today. I really have no other descriptors for
I
that.
don't know if you do this. First off, that's a great description. You do feel like a river stone today. So I would say that is 100% like the vibe you're giving.
Thank you.
I don't know if while you're waiting for me to tell you what it is, you guess in your brain to see how close you can get.
Oh, no.
But I do that a lot.
Do you really?
Yes. And so I was looking at you. So I'm sure anyone watching on YouTube just watched me try to figure out, like, what is it? What is it?
Like today, yeah.
And because you have a yellow shirt and yellow fingernails, I was like, please say banana, please say banana, please say banana.
Like
not a bruised banana, because that means she's, like, not feeling really good, but, like, a super happy, ripe banana. Now you look like an elephant.
I'm in my yellow era. I'm also in my ugly t-shirt era. I'm right now wearing a Coors Banquet t-shirt. This is one of my favorite t-shirts. I hardly drink these, hardly ever, but I quite like the shirt. So
yeah, you can definitely rock these like unfortunate looking graphic tees.
Yeah, right. I love me an ugly t-shirt. I just fucking, I don't know, I'm leaning fully into it.
Nice.
What does your gender feel like today?
Wait, you got to describe your outfit.
Oh, okay.
I'm currently wearing a sports bra and a ridiculously fluffy jacket and I'm going to pull one arm out because I can't decide if I'm hot or cold, which is how I know I'm fighting the illness and I will win.
You're not giving in.
I'm not giving in. I would say that my gender feels like an Oompa Loompa. Yep.
Like a singing one or a working one or both?
Both. I am both. I am singing and working.
Can we talk about how Oompa Loompas were low-key like, what is that, indentured servitude?
Yep. Which is just a nice white way of saying slave.
Yeah.
That just to say 100%. That they were enslaved.
By Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Oh my God.
He went to the, like, where, I can't remember, is it the land of Oompa Loompa? Whatever. And then he captured them. And then brought them back and made them work for free. Then said, because I'm housing them, they want to be here.
Right. No, they're so happy. Like, look at them sing.
Epitome of colonization.
So awful. Yeah. And, no one talks about it. Well, I mean, we're talking about it now, so whatever. Justice for Oompa Loompas.
Well, is that going to be our next sticker? Justice for Oompa Loompas.
It could be. We want to talk about procrastination today, yeah?
Well, more
ADHD?
accurately, this is probably going to be a couple episode series because we have a lot to say on this. Because if you guys have been here with us for a minute, you know that I have gone an entire ADHD journey, and you have as well.
Yes.
As we've spent the last couple of years, like, discovering ourselves, and as we've spent the last, like, a little over a year with you guys, publicly sharing our diary with you. And I had a big epiphany this last week about procrastination, but also more so about, like, ADHD is my superpower.
Yeah.
And it's not something that just because the rest of the world says, that's inconvenient for me, or you think differently and I don't like it, that it's a bad thing.
Yeah, because I think when you go through the stages of realizing you have ADHD, for me, there was a really big pushback to that. I was like, there's no way. I don't have ADHD. I'm just not going to not think about it. And then you kind of come to terms with it and have this, like, acceptance, because I feel like it really depends on what environment you grew up in. But as far as I know, the majority feels like when you get that diagnosis, you're like, oh no, is there something wrong with me? You know, instead of being like, okay, no, this is just how my brain works as opposed to how other people's brains works. And that's okay. But when I first, like, was, you know, dealing with the fact that I had ADHD, I was, like, really pushing hard against it. I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm neurotypical. Like, I've always been neurotypical. And it's a little bit different too with women, because we have to mask up at very young ages. And not only are we forced to mask at a very young age, but we're also playing under the guidebook of a diagnosis that only happens for men.
Well, an 8-year-old boys, more accurately.
Right? Yeah, it's specifically
and that's where
targeted.
it's tested on.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's crazy to think that, like, even if we did get tested, the chances of us actually getting the proper diagnosis are so low because none of the research was developed for women, which is so sad. And, like, we're seeing this in medical history all the time. Not just with ADHD diagnoses, but, you know, autism, and also just regular medical stuff. Like, how long did it take for, what is it called? Endometriosis to be, like, discovered? There was a lady who kept coming in, and they were just telling her that she's just hysterical, you know? And then when they, you know, cut her open when she finally passed from the pain.
Yeah. I want to say it's the 90s is when they started actually testing medication on women versus just on men.
So awful.
So I think that that's the thing, is that obviously, like, we are very behind when it comes to people that were genetically, like, born with female genitalia not being accurately tested.
Yeah. And it's really sad to see. And then on top of that, you know, like, with the outlying pressure of being a perfect woman all the time, realizing that you have ADHD can be hard because, again, you're like, no, I'm supposed to be perfect, and I'm supposed to be looking hot while I am perfect and performing well, and et cetera, et cetera. But,
well, and then I think there comes the, like, pressure of, like, okay, I need to go get an official diagnosis so I can prove it to people, which is something that I definitely struggled with, where I was like, okay, I need to get an official diagnosis. And then I came upon the realization, and I spend a great deal of time, you know, listening to experts and reading studies, that I just realized the other day, actually, I can't sit down and read a book, but I read 4 studies on Waffles cancer in one day.
Yeah.
And was totally happy to just read research papers. Like, my brain was like, I can consume all of this. But even a great book, if you're like, hey, sit down and read this, I'm like, oh my God, can I just listen to it?
Yeah, totally. Well, because, I mean, we're bringing it back into the whole ADHD is your superpower. I'm weaponizing my ADHD now. You know what? When I was originally, like, being like, oh, fuck, I think I might have it, it was coming from a place of shame. And now that we have let go of the reins of, like, no, I have nothing to be ashamed of, and this is just how my brain works, embracing it was the next step for me, because I still would have a lot of resistance towards embracing it. I think that, like, this happens a lot too, where we would randomly, like, we'll be doing stuff like crazy around the house, and then randomly we get stuck. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you might have ADHD, where you get stuck on the floor somewhere, or just leaning on the counter somewhere, and you're like, it's almost debilitating. Like, you can't move. You're frozen in place.
You're at a charging port.
Yes. Now we've labeled it as a charging port. Instead of it being a debilitating thing, no, you're just charging. Because you used a lot of spoons just now doing a bunch of stuff, and you're just at a charging port. So that way you're able to continue on for the rest of your day. A lot of...
Or until you once again run out of energy. I like to think about it like, because everyone's fine with charging their phone or charging their electronics. And then this one always said she wants to be a robot. And I'm like, yes, well, robots also need to be charged.
Yeah.
So even if it's like, okay, I can get something done for like another hour and then I need to go back to my charging port. Okay, so you're on low battery that day.
Right.
Your overall battery has not been charged enough. So it's just like when we're like, I'll charge my phone for 20 minutes. And then we pick it back up. And then we get mad that it's not fully charged. Your body works the same way, y'all.
Yes, absolutely. And I still have a lot of accepting to do on that end. If you know me, I have probably told you that I want to be a robot so that way I could just be an unstoppable force. But that's also not true because you also got to charge.
And also you are an unstoppable force.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I work really hard and a lot of the times I want to force myself to work harder. But that's kind of where burnout happens. And gosh, what a vicious cycle it is, because when burnout happens, you're just saving the work for later. Or at least in my career, I'm just saving the work for later. So Callista's going to burn out eventually.
Kicking it down.
Yeah.
The line. You're just 100%. Kicking that can down further down the road.
Well, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize with tattoo artists, like there's literally just one of us and hundreds of clients per year. Hundreds might sound like an exaggerated number, but it's actually not.
No.
Yeah. And I have like a bunch of pieces floating around here and there, et cetera, et cetera. And when I call out, I don't have anyone to come in for my shift. I have to come in for that later. I make up for it later. But anyways, accepting ADHD, making it your superpower, weaponizing it.
And I am not in the camp of I'm not weaponizing my ADHD.
By weaponizing?
So you get both here. You get like her like, okay, I'm going to weaponize it. And you get I'm going to celebrate it. So as you can tell at the beginning of this episode, I was a little extra hyper. I still fucking am. If you could see my fucking, I'm hella wiggly. I'm very much full of energy. I am in a place where I celebrate my ADHD. So much so that a lot, like that's why I wanted to like name this episode ADHD is my superpower, because I genuinely believe that.
Yes.
So that means that like weaponize / celebrate, whichever one you prefer.
It's both. I'm just uncomfortable by saying celebrate.
But I think that's also I'm not saying this is a linear thing, and you may never like feel like you need to celebrate it. But I think that like acceptance, tolerance, and then celebration, like it's like this like I don't know, this path that you on that like I definitely went on the like, oh fuck, I have ADHD. No, I don't. I can't take someone else's like thing that's theirs. It's not mine. And now like the running joke in the house is we do stuff and we'll be like, and no one ever thought you had ADHD?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
I know.
And we point it out a lot. And then I'm really fortunate that I'm in a friend group that that celebrates and recognizes like, okay, but those are my favorite parts of you. Like my autism around like just the way that I deliver things and I don't pick up on social cues. I get told a lot, that's my favorite thing about you, which is great because like the rest of the world tells me that I'm incredibly rude and that you can't just go around correcting people, which I'm not trying to correct people, but facts are facts.
Yeah.
And I don't like misinformation that like you can hear it because I'm getting like riled up inside just thinking about it.
Oh, totally. Well, yeah, because when people say a lot of misinformation, like for example, we'll just say in tattoo terms, like people are like, oh yeah, well, does color heal differently? Because my artist told me that I can't do yellow. And then you immediately you're like, no, like, no. Let me tell you about this. And it's really refreshing to see. I think it's nice for me. It's one of my favorite things about you because a lot of people will kind of skirt around it. And I have a tendency to do that too, where I'm like, I don't mean to like talk bad on your previous artist. I'm just letting you know that like a lot of people say that stuff because they can't do it.
Yeah, or they don't want to.
Or they don't want
to. The amount of times people say, oh, my tattoo artist said this couldn't be done. And I'm like, you guys, just be honest with people and just say, I don't want to do that. Like either that's not my style. I don't enjoy tattooing ribs. So I just say no now. I'm just like, hey, it's not that you can't get that there. It's that like, I'm not the correct artist for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you can go to someone else for this piece and then come back to me.
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with us. Like, I love you to pieces, but it's just genuinely not something that I want to do.
Yeah. But the amount of people that come in like, oh, I was told X, Y, and Z, and they are not remotely close to like how it is. And I understand that you don't know what you don't know, but that's another one of those things that touches on my touches my autism. That's like, if you are in a profession, you should be educating yourself. You should be continuing your education. And that goes for all things. Like, little tiny side note yesterday, I went to the vet yesterday. Waffles has cancer. And I went to her oncologist and they suggested radiation and jaw removal surgery. And I was like, there's no way that can happen. Like, she can't handle that. Also, like, we couldn't handle that. And there is a vaccine that can very much prolong her lifespan, because all we're buying is time and quality of life during that time. And both the surgery and radiation come with a lot of side effects that would drastically decrease her quality of life. So it's not something that I'm willing to put her through.
Absolutely. It's a lot of pain.
Yes.
And plus, I mean, I would like to point out and interject really fast. One of the articles that you read was very big on, like, you need to be an advocate for your dog. So if anything makes you uncomfortable, if you think that your dog can't handle it, you need to say that. Yeah. Like, and you did a great job.
And the veterinarian did not mention the vaccine whatsoever. I had to bring it up several times. And of course he's like, well, there's no guarantee. But for me, I wanted to go that route because I know that there aren't any side effects except for mild, like, irritation, like really bruising because it's an air pressure vaccine, but mild bruising around the injection site, but otherwise no adverse reactions. And I was thinking about the fact that if I hadn't had the ability to read the research papers on the type of cancer she has and gone in there and also had that, like, need to correct areas of, like, hey, I understand you're an expert, but you're also just a person and you have your own biases toward things.
Well, can I also just point out, I feel like it's still not a guarantee removing her jaw.
Oh, it's not, because we would have to remove her lower jaw and then she'd have to do chemotherapy. Yeah. Both of which options, like, if this was Bailey, then I'd be like, cool, she's a really tough dog. She could handle this. But Waffles is not tough. She cannot handle that. So, like, a bug bite is the end of the world for her.
Oh, yeah. She can hardly, like, handle a gust of wind hitting her eyeball the wrong way.
Yeah. Like, if she steps on a pebble, you're pretty sure that she just got a snake bite. Yeah. Like, it's bad.
She'll scream. Like.
Yes. So I had to, like, push for that. And then he's like, yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee because we don't necessarily know what stage she's in, but didn't provide any additional information. But if you go and look, like, I read her records when we got it back from the, like, the place that tested the biopsy. And it's like, but if you read that, you can tell that she's in, like, stage 1, which has an incredibly high, like, I guess, success rate, yes, with the vaccine. But instead, and I get, once again, he sees lots of dogs, and I'm not saying anything necessarily bad about him, but I was thinking about the fact of, like, if I would have left there and not known what I know, I would not have been like, hey, let me advocate for this. Yeah. And even if it just gets us, like, I mean, on the great end, she lives for several more years. She finishes out her natural lifespan. On the lower end of it, she lives for an additional year. Once again, without the discomfort of this, like, killing her in a horrible way. Yeah. So, like, I guess for me, it was a moment of, like, celebrating the fact that my ADHD, and in my case, my autism, allows me to consume knowledge at a, like, much higher rate than some other people. You see, I still have to play that down. We're still accepting that. Yes. But I, like, instead of being mad at myself for, like, when I'm popping off, when I'm super hyper, when, like, nothing can keep me entertained, when, like, the dopamine is, like, super low and I'm like, I just can't fucking figure out what I need right now. I now, every time I have those realizations of, like, oh, you were able to advocate for your dog properly because you took this time, and more accurately, because I had the energy and the desire to read research papers about cancer and cancer treatments. Whereas a lot of people don't. They don't have the ability for their brain to say, hey, like you tell me that all the time. Like I have an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. So I'm currently watching a series on YouTube about bridges. It's fascinating.
Yeah, all of Lou's like YouTube recommended pages are just like history, like facts, and like they're basically like mini documentaries on YouTube. You guys have seen those before, where it's a very educational thing. It's really fucking cool.
PBS and History Channel and like all of them, they're on YouTube, you guys.
Yeah, you can just watch it.
I hated YouTube because I thought it was pointless and a lot of like stupid information, which I understand is funny because we're on YouTube. But yeah, it's like actual fucking documentaries.
Yeah, and you just get
So
and it's
good.
great because they're also in like, I would say, bite-sized sections. So you're not committing to like a 2-hour documentary anymore. YouTube is really good about having 15, 20, 30-minute videos.
Oh,
it's really rare.
I only watched like the 2-hour ones.
Oh, damn. I was going to say,
I
it's
just
rare
have to
for
break
me.
them up into episodes where I'm like, this is a good stopping point.
That's fair.
But like, yeah, I'm watching the full length. Like, this is a 2.5-hour documentary about the London Bridge, and more accurately about like how they build it, how they put it in the Thames. Oh God, it's so good. It's so interesting.
It's crazy shit. And it's great because I get to benefit from it too, because I get little factoids here and there whenever I come in the living room. It's dope. So I get to slowly learn about stuff because that's the beauty of weaponizing your ADHD.
I love it.
I only say weaponizing. I'm not like to the point where I could celebrate mine per se. There's still a lot of journey, like an emotional journey I have to go through with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like it would be great for you guys to hear both sides where it's like, yeah, I'm still kind of in progress with that. But I am comfortable with saying I'm weaponizing it because it makes me an absolute unit sometimes.
Yes. Not sometimes. A lot of the time.
A lot of the time, you're right. I need to stop downplaying it. It makes me a unit where my ADHD is the reason why I can just randomly like wake up and be like, I'm going to run a mile, and then I'm going to hop on the rower, and then I'm going to hit arms, and then I'm going to put protein in my body just randomly. I just get these random spurts of energy.
Yeah.
And I love it. Or I'll fixate on a random person and be like, right now I'm really into watching lean beef patty videos. And if you guys don't know her, she is a bodybuilder on YouTube, and she's just really refreshing. She's super real. It's really refreshing seeing someone of my age range go into bodybuilding and be so humble and goofy. And she's also just weird, which I really appreciate about her because she's just unabashedly herself. And is very real on the fact that like, yeah, bodybuilding isn't for everyone. And honestly, some bodybuilders are assholes, but that's okay. Because if you still want to do it, you can do it with me. And here's my routine, and this is what I track, and this is what I don't track, and et cetera, et cetera. It's really cool. But my ADHD helps me like hyper focus, and
which helps you learn.
Yes, absolutely. And just lean into it. If you're hyper focusing right now on mantis shrimp, which I did the other day, do it.
Which is great because then you know tons of stuff about mantis shrimp.
Yeah, and there was a phase in my life where I knew a ton of stuff about tarantulas because all I watched was tarantula videos.
And the thing is that you still know all that.
I do.
It's just that you have a wound around recall that you get like in your head about like, oh my God, I can't recall everything, which like hopefully over time continues to get better. Because it definitely is better now that it used to. That like, I don't know who put that wound there, that you're not good at like memorizing and recalling and like all of that because you really are. It's just not necessarily about things that don't interest you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's okay. Because guess what? You still know things.
Yeah. And we all need to know different things. We all, like, that man that's talking about bridges, I need him to be passionate about bridges so I, too, can learn about bridges. Because I'm not going to, like, spend the, years of my life learning about bridges the way he has for him to be able to distill it down for me to put it in a, like, couple-hour thing for me to be able to, like,
he took years and years worth of research into, a couple of hours.
And made it entertaining because he loves it.
Yeah, and you can tell that he loves it. It's crazy. Oh, that's our coffee machine, if you guys were wondering. Another thing I want to touch on really fast. I'm celebrating the fact that I use the word celebrate.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That my ADHD, I used to be really frustrated and upset about this. Sorry, our coffee machine is they're having a whole conversation back there.
Our coffee
Oh my
machine's
God.
like, I have the best ADHD.
It's like,
I have
actually-
to focus on making coffee.
Yeah, and he makes the best cup of coffee ever.
Dude, what is he doing?
I don't know. Sometimes he just makes noises like that. I think he just has a lot to say right now. Hold on.
Yeah,
Give it a second.
We're just here.
Okay.
Okay.
He's done.
Oh my God.
You had to get one last quip in there. I think he's done now. I used to get really mad at myself for this, where I wouldn't get like my morning routine in a perfectly set up, staged way, because I don't really have a routine. Every day looks very different, and my job kind of plays into that, which is fine. I think actually it's a good thing because it really matches my lifestyle.
Why we're good at our jobs.
Yes. But I used to get really mad that I'm like, okay, I can't be ready by this time. I have to have breakfast by this time, and then I have to have makeup at this time, and then I leave the door at this time. And it's a very structured thing. Instead, a lot of the times what it looks like is some mornings I wake up and I just herkle-durkle. Fun fact, the word herkle-durkle means to lay in bed and just lay there. You're awake.
Scottish term.
Scottish, that's what it is. So I'll be herkling and durkling and wait until the very last 30 minutes of the time that I need to eat breakfast and get ready, and then I'll rush out of the door. I used to get really mad at myself about that. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I'm not mad. Sometimes I just need a herkle-durkle. And sometimes I'm actually really happy that my ADHD lets me get ready and eat breakfast in 30 minutes, and then I'm out the door.
We were talking
It's a
about
skill.
this. Firstly, to our friends that we love so dearly, please don't be offended. We had this realization because, you know, when we're all together, there's a group of 5 of us.
Yes.
And they were asking about, like, hey, how long does everyone need to get ready? And Callie and I were just, like, looking at each other. And I'm like, how long do I have? Like, you just let me know a time frame. Because I can be ready to leave the house in 3 minutes.
Oh, for sure. I was ready to record it. Well, I woke up
Yeah.
like 18 minutes before this episode. And I was like...
And then you were already downstairs before me.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to take my contacts out, brush my teeth, and make a cup of coffee, and I was ready.
Yeah, and I was like, it said 8 o'clock on the dot is when we're recording. Okay, 8 o'clock on the dot is when we record.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, like, for us, it really is that, like, time is this genuine, like, it can expand or contract because our ADHD allows us to be like, okay, you need me at this time. I can be ready at exactly this time.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in our friend group, like, not everyone's like that. Caboose can't do that.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I need this amount, like, I need this time frame. And he has, like, the time blindness that, like, he has no idea. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, we have time blindness in areas typically when we have, like, a more relaxing day, then time blindness hits me really bad.
Or I'm hyper-focused.
Yes.
And then I also just don't have, like, I literally will, like, time travel. Mm-hmm. It'll be, like, 3 hours later, and I'm like, oh, my God, I have so much shit to do. Why was I here just painting?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
And you're like, oh no, I have a tattoo appointment.
Yeah.
And I decided that the pantry needed to get organized.
Totally.
So I think that kind of goes into, as we talk about time, into like today's main topic. I know it's like you sat here for 28 minutes and now we're hitting the main topic, which is procrastination, because I had this realization having a discussion with Caboose the other day that, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the different types of procrastination that happen within like the ADHD realm. And if you have one that you're like, oh, you guys didn't cover that, please put it in the comments or send us a message, because I'd love to learn more about it, because I haven't hyper focused on the science behind procrastination. These are just general overarching theories that we have and like realizations.
And I bet you by like the next few episodes, we'll probably actually deep dive into more research on hyper focus and stuff like that.
Well, right now I'm deep diving on the unsinkable Molly, who never went by Molly, Margaret Brown.
Oh, nice.
So I can probably do an episode on that later. But she's a fascinating woman. She ran for Senate before women could even be in politics.
Oh, period.
Several times.
That's amazing.
And you guys only think about her more than likely for the Titanic.
Yeah.
But a amazing philanthropist. Yep.
Yeah.
And just an overall like phenomenal individual.
Oh my God, love.
So I wanted to talk about procrastination because when I had this realization, Caboose thinks of himself a lot as an unreliable person, specifically at home. And at work, nobody would ever describe him as that. He doesn't really have friends outside of the home, so we're working on that. So I can't even be like, his friends would say, But when we were talking about it, because basically our washing machine needs to get serviced, and he, takes machines apart all day long and then puts them back together. And he's been meaning to do it for several months now. Mm-hmm. And I was frustrated because I'm like, hey, this is not my job. You said you'd get this. And then it hit me that he procrastinates on stuff he doesn't want to do, which comes back to that, like, in the moment agreeing. So it kind of comes back to boundaries, where in the moment he agrees to do something because he feels either, like when we talked about it, he felt like it was his responsibility and that it would be a waste of money to pay someone to do it. And it made me like really think about the fact of like, I procrastinate on things I don't want to do rather than outsourcing them. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, it's a little bit different because a lot of the stuff I don't want to do, I can then give to you or vice versa. But like when I was reconciling our accounts, I did not necessarily feel comfortable setting this up with QuickBooks, even though I'm familiar with it. I'm not familiar enough to make sure that it's all done correctly. Yep. So I kept like kicking it further down the line and then feeling terrible, making myself feel worse. And then having that realization of like, no, it's that I don't want to do this. Yeah. Therefore, I would rather earn money a different way. Mm-hmm. So in our instance, I would rather take on some more tattoos to cover the cost of this and then be able to learn how it's done and then be able to do it myself.
Cost of hiring someone else.
Yes, the cost of hiring someone else.
Outsourcing.
Yes, outsourcing it. And whether that outsourcing comes to, like in our case, when I don't enjoy doing something, I don't enjoy social media. Mm-hmm. You enjoy social media. So I outsource that to you. Yep. And then you don't enjoy organizing our entire
I don't enjoy inventory.
Storage, or inventory.
Organizing,
and I enjoy that. So that gets outsourced to me. And so in that realization, I was able to like give a lot of grace, not just for myself, but for him, where it was, hey, you procrastinate shit you don't want to do because you agreed to do something you don't want to do. And there's nothing that says that like you can't say yes in the moment and then later realize I don't want to do that. But I think that it's being honest with yourself, and instead of sitting in that place of beating yourself up, being like, well, this is my responsibility. No. Sit with it and go, I don't actually enjoy this. And so my ADHD is preventing me from being able to even start this task. Because every time I look at it, I want to die.
100%. Where it's like, this is where all of the dopamine I have dies. Yes. This is the graveyard right here. This task is where all of it just gets drained. I love that. And I wish there was I don't know. I feel like if you're procrastinating on something because you feel that innate dread, maybe do a body scan and then be able to really ask yourself, do I actually want to do this or can I just outsource?
Yes.
And some things you can't outsource, like taking a shower or...
You can kick that can further down the line.
You can, and I'm guilty of that. I will admit that right here and right now. But when it comes to tasks, are you procrastinating because you know that like, this happens with me too, where I'll be like 90% done with the project.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
Because the last 10%, I'm like, there's no more dopamine. Like I hit my dopamine point at its highest, 50% through, and now I'm 90%, I'm almost done. It's this weird thing of like, I don't want to finish.
Yeah, because you're done. Like emotionally, you have used everything, you're done. Yeah. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah, you left it all out on the fucking field and you're like, oh fuck, now I have like this last 10% to push through. Where a little trick for me is I try my best to like put myself in a different area of the house where I haven't done this project, and I reward myself. So I will put myself, let's say in the office when I've been working on a reel in my bedroom this entire time, put myself in the office, give myself a little treat. I'll make a little charcuterie board.
You also light a candle.
I light a candle. Lighting candles for some reason is great because it feels like a treat. And then when I'm finally alone, I'm like, okay, I have things to give me dopamine, and I will finish this project. Does it work all the time? No. But does it help? Yes.
And sometimes that also looks like, having, once again, kind of outsourcing. So being like, hey, I need to finish this. Yes. And I'm a big, I'm still weird about saying this. I'm very competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm sure anyone that knows me is like, duh, bitch. But for me, it's very much like, okay, I have to finish this. And so like you and I will set a timer or I will race you. So you will be doing something and we're like, okay, who can get this done first? And that gives me enough dopamine to get over that hurdle.
Yes.
Which is partly that like ADHD trait of like, we need a deadline for when something needs to be done. So that way we know, and then we don't do it until the very last minute. And I come to think about, I have read a lot about procrastination because I hated that feature about myself. And I was like, this is awful. Why do you wait until the very last minute before you study for an exam or you write an entire 6-page paper?
Oh, yes.
2 hours before class.
I was the queen. I was the queen of turning in my essays at 11:59. I fucking love that shit. Yeah.
And sometimes it backfires and I'd be like, fuck, it's late. Okay, I've lost those points. But I used to very much hate myself for that. And when you think about it in a larger sense, it's because it benefits everyone else for you to work on their timeline. But it doesn't benefit you because that's not how dopamine works. That's not how motivation works.
Yeah.
So yes, there are the little hacks of hey, I move myself to a different room so I can finish those inevitable tasks. But I think the key thing in life is looking and being and this can go with spouses, roommates, any divvying up of tasks of people in your life.
Yeah.
Is, hey, I don't enjoy doing this. You like doing this. Cool. We can trade these things. So if I hate Caboose and I literally trade the making dog food. I like the overall making of dog food, but I can't cut up meat. I have a hard time smelling cooked meat. I have a hard time handling meat. So that portion of their dog food, I will then do the initial part. He removes the chicken breasts, cuts them all up, dices all the beef and fish, and then that goes back in, and then I take over from there. And then I also don't enjoy putting it in the packaging.
Yeah.
So he does that. And we just tag team the parts so that way the parts for me that I'm very squeamish because I'm very texture and odor based.
Yeah.
That make me not want to cook them food and they need food. That allows to be removed from me because he doesn't mind those parts. But if he took on the whole task, that's when it takes too much energy from him. So it can be that volleying back and forth, which is what makes you a good teammate. Or it can simply be, okay, I don't like doing this, so let me outsource it.
Yeah.
And if it costs money, finding a way to earn that money somewhere else, or in the instance of our washing machine, I will watch that motherfucker fix my washing machine so that way I know how to do it in the future.
Absolutely.
And that to me seems okay, cool. It's worth the $150 and I've had a broken washing machine for fucking months.
You're you might as well. What are we doing here? But I don't know. It's beautiful because this whole washing machine thing had all of us come to the conclusion of wait, this is an option. I'm also personally really bad at looking at options A through Z. I pretty much stop at C, A, B, C. It's been getting better, but for the most part, I've got 3 options. It's you do it because I have this completionist in me. And I think that has a lot to do with the masking as a child. And I have to complete things, which is why this is making sense now. I tend to not go for the hour-long YouTube videos because I feel I have to watch it all the way through instead of just pausing at a certain point. Because how do you pick a point?
But the moment, okay, so how do you pick a point? The moment your brain says, la 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 la, or the moment you pick up your phone, you're done. You're done learning what you can learn.
Body scan,
the moment
that's great.
that it says, hey, I need to fucking get something elsewhere, it's why, for me, the, picking up your phone when we're watching a movie is dude, if you don't want to be in this, we don't have to be in this. I very much take that as an indicator of you're bored. And I don't mean that what we're doing is boring to you, but your brain is this task no longer giving dopamine. Let me find more dopamine. So that's when I stop whatever I'm doing and I'm I'm going to go over here. And don't get me wrong, it took me years to come to that conclusion of okay, it will take me 2 weeks to finish this documentary about bridges because I am watching little bits. And the moment I'm wait, what did he say? I wasn't paying attention. Then I just back it up 30 seconds and I walk away. And then I come back and I'm this is fascinating. And I have that all over again. And it makes things a lot more enjoyable. And I think the other thing is realizing that most of the tasks are always going to be there. So things like laundry that you hate doing, it's always going to be there.
Yes.
So accepting the fact that if you hate doing it, fucking outsource it. Make your spouse, if they hate doing it less than you, make them do it. If you and not beating yourself up when you're hey, I didn't complete that task, but knowing that that's what I had told Caboose. I was like, you're the only person whose responsibility this is, which means that if you call someone today and get it fixed, perfect. If you don't call someone today because you're like, I literally can't make a phone call today, emotionally I can't handle that, that's okay. That task is still on your plate.
Yeah, it's still there. We're just kicking it down the line.
Yeah, and that there's nothing wrong with that. There are days that like I can't go through our inbox and answer people because I'm like, I'm not fit for that today. So I do it the next day.
Totally.
There's a different type of procrastination we need to talk about. Because we talked about the like, I don't want to do this.
The procrastination where I'm using it as a, that's a little bit what I touched on where it's like, okay, the 30-minute thing. I had 2 hours to get ready and now the 30 minutes that I have left, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go out the door. And that 30 minutes includes the time that that it takes going to work. That's where I weaponize procrastination sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I just don't feel like fucking doing things right now. And I'm just going to zone out. I'm going to herkle-durkle. And then that procrastination actually lights a fire under my ass. It was the same thing with like the essays when I was taking community college online. And my essays were due at 11:59. I was the queen of submitting my essay at 11:59. You want to know why? Because I started at 10 or 10:30.
If you think about it, like, I'm thinking a little bit like a roller coaster, how, like, your normal doing a task, you could be like, okay, we're going at this speed.
Yeah.
And then that is that moment of, like, pausing and they charge up the, like, roller coaster.
God. Yeah.
So that's the thing is that when you're in that place of, like, hey, I'm not doing this until the last second, you're just building that so that way you can go super fast.
Because sometimes I
can't go super fast if you're already moving. You need that time to like, okay, let me charge up and then go.
I need the pressure in order to hyperfixate sometimes where or hyper focus. So if I'm like writing an essay on something I don't particularly care about, I mean, honestly, 9 out of 10 times I'm probably waiting until the last hour and a half to submit because then I can really like zone in, read the shit that I need to read, go from there, use that like intense, like energy to pour it all out there. And lots of times I would get really good grades. And at that point, I just leaned into it where I'm like, you know what? No, if it's working for me, then that's fine. Is it bad for my sleep schedule? Absolutely. But whatever, I got good grades.
Take more naps.
Take more naps. Yeah. I love me a nap. But
so my last thing that I want to talk about is that procrastination avoidance, where I have a task. And this is another thing that like people will get really weird and have a lot of shame around. And I too used to, where I was like, okay, I have this one task right now, but I don't want to do it. So I will knock everything else off my to-do list and not do that thing. And it used to be something that I was very much like, oh my God, I just need to do this one thing and I can't. And now when I am in that place, like the other day, we're working on like the house because we're here for a couple more years. So we're making sure everything's good. And I need to recaulk the tub. And I actually quite like caulking. So I took that task from Caboose and I was like, no, I want to do it. It's super satisfying. Plus I'm really good at it. And I notice a lot of stuff in the shower because there's not a whole lot of distraction. So if a bead of caulk is slightly off, I'm going to fucking stare at it and it's going to ruin so many showers. So that's that thing too, is like knowing what your triggers are and knowing what tasks you need to handle. Because if it's slightly messed up, it's going to bother you. Then that falls back on your camp. It either comes back to expressing to that person, hey, this has to be done this specific way in order for me to be happy. Or I'm just going to handle it myself because then I know that like, if it's messed up, I'll only be upset with myself and I won't take that out on him. Anywho's it. We were like, okay, that's the one task we're going to do. Because we've talked about that in the past, not trying to do everything on your to-do list at one time.
Yes.
But doing one. And I was genuinely excited. And then he pulled out the tools and I was like, dope. You just have to do that part because I don't want to do that part. And then I looked at them, went in the kitchen to get a cup of coffee and cleaned the entire kitchen. Like vacuumed all the cabinets, wiped everything out, reorganized everything. Then I got distracted by the pantry and was like, when was the last time this pantry got cleared out?
Might as well organize.
Distracted by that, spent all day organizing the pantry. And then I was like, the baseboards need to be cleaned. And Callie was at work that day, came home to a completely different house. Like it was spotless.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was amazing.
And I didn't caulk. And instead of being mad that I didn't caulk, I was like, whatever. And then at 11 o'clock at night, I was like, you know what? I could caulk now. The house is quiet. There's not all this other stuff.
There's no other stimuli.
Yeah.
Like, it's like...
And I had enough energy, and then I cocked like 3/4 of it, and then I got bored, and I capped it off, and now this stuff is just sitting in the bathroom, waiting for me to finish, which for the people that are like, oh God, I would never come back to it, set yourself a deadline. Set a new thing that says, hey, this weekend, I will finish doing that, because that's that, okay, I got the dopamine I needed, but I have to finish the task. And for me, the trick is to say, okay, your new deadline, like on Saturday, I have to caulk. Or I use a lot of times the motivation of people coming to my house to get the household tasks I need to get done.
Oh my God. That's truly the only reason I ever miss like hooking up with people is because it would force me to clean my room. And my room was fucking spotless most of the time. Was it worth the emotional distress? Hell no. But the clean room was really nice.
Yeah, it's one of the nice things about going out of town for us is we have a dog sitter come over, and I'm like, okay, that means that I get to deep clean.
Yeah.
And it's not, I used to think that it was because I was like afraid they were going to judge me, which was part of it. But now as I've healed those wounds around other people's perceptions of myself, I definitely realize that it's a lot of, I just want to come home to a clean room.
It is the best feeling.
So I'll leave you with this one last thing about it. My client and I were talking yesterday about like, oh, I thought of all these things as being bad, but instead it's that as I'm healing the wounds around what makes a task bad, like hyper cleaning my house before people come over, it's allowed me to say, hey, you're not doing these actions just because of shame. Once I remove the shame, I still want to do them, which means they can have these great benefits of like, for me, it's when I get back from a trip, even though I have a house sitter, most house sitters are not going to trash your house, otherwise they wouldn't come back. But I know that I'm going to come home to a clean home, as opposed to if I was like, fuck it, I don't care about like them seeing my house messy.
Yeah.
Then I would come home and then be stressed out that I need to deep clean my house because I can't just come home and herkle-durkle for a day. And so I think that like that's the thing, is that it's not about the task. It's about how we view the task. And I'm not saying just change your opinion on the way you do stuff. I'm saying heal the wounds around the shame of what other people have told you. Oh, you care too much about what people think. Do I care about what people think, or is this something I enjoy?
Yeah, or inevitably, is it something that like actually helps my mental health?
Yes.
Which is why I'm like really pressed on making sure that the house is clean. Because I think that honestly, like that was a big part for me too. Subconsciously, I realized that coming home from a trip to a clean house was like, that's it, dude. That is it. Because then, I mean, we've also gotten to a point where we're scheduling days off after we come back from a trip, which is really
mad growth.
Smart. Yeah, I think it's super smart. Sometimes I even need 2 days, depending on like how crazy the trip is. But trying to realize that like, no, we also need recharge time after the travel portion is really huge. And then you get to spend that whole day just herkling and dirkling.
Yeah, and you're not looking like, when your brain does feel that niggly bit of guilt, you have already stepped ahead of it to be like, I'm not looking for tasks to do because my house is already clean. I don't need to worry about it.
Yep.
So I can now just relax.
Absolutely.
Okay, so on that, I want to know what your win is, and I think it has to do with when we went to dinner the other night. Because you haven't shared that story.
How was that a win?
Because that would have been devastating for so many people, and you laughed through the whole thing.
It was the funniest thing that has ever fucking happened to me. Thank God I wasn't on a fucking date. Holy shit. So,
I wish you were. That would have been way funnier.
Bitch, no. You would have gotten a phone call and I would have expected you to drive all the way from home to a restaurant. I would have driven
there with pants for you.
Thank you. That is so nice. So this is what happened. I went out to a girls' night with our friend Chloe, love you Chloe, and obviously Lou. And it was a wonderful girls' dinner at this like fancy Italian restaurant. And I fucking chowed down on that pasta. But anyways,
it's the fastest I've ever seen her eat. It was amazing.
I've been tracking my macros, so I've been really, really good about like, I don't really expend any more like macros on pasta. Unless it's like protein pasta. But even then I don't eat protein pasta because I'm just like, whatever. I have other sources of protein that I'd rather hit. If it's not real pasta, chances are I won't eat it unless it's a cheat meal. So we had pasta. I fucking chowed the fuck down. And I was like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. So thankfully, this is like after I handed the waitress my card. So that way things were taken care of on that end. I went to go to the bathroom. I was wearing this really cute yellow jumpsuit and this like sheer top underneath it. And I, obviously under the sheer top, I had 2 bras on because I just wanted boobs that day. Fuck it. If you guys judge me for that, you guys can fuck off, okay? Your girl is president of the Itty Bitty Titty Club.
No, I feel like if you judge her for that, then you aren't allowed to wear the scrunchy butt, like, leggings.
Yeah.
Because it's no different because those scrunchy butt leggings are literally a push-up bra for your butt.
I have
You can't tell me that they're mad comfortable because they're not.
We've been there, done that.
So it's the same thing as a push-up bra, but for your butt.
I love that. Thank you. So don't come for me.
No.
So anyways, I just wanted my boobs to be like popping that night because I was out with my girls. Thank you. And so I went to the bathroom, obviously with the jumpsuit. It is like a one-piece situation. It is your top and your bottom. I go to the bathroom, and it's always really funny going to the bathroom in a jumpsuit because you're basically naked in the stall. I finish my business. I go up to zip up my jumpsuit, and the zipper pulls straight off. And I'm like, fuck. So I try to clasp the zipper on. It's not fucking working in the stall. A bunch of drunk girls come in, and they're like, is there someone in that stall? And they're like, yeah, I think there is. Because I was in there for a minute, right? Mortified because there's a group of women out there, and I'm like, they're drunk women, so they'll probably help you, but I also don't think that there's a solution to this situation. So I was like, fuck, is there a clasp under here that I can at least like clasp the top? Because typically there is. And then like kind of like just run out there to my friends because at least my top will still be on. And there wasn't. So the drunk girls leave. I fucking exit the stall. There's a, full length body mirror. And I'm trying to put the zipper on through there. Somebody else walks in. She walks in. I turn, and it's like me in my bra with this sheer top and my fucking jumpsuit crinkled, and I'm twisted around trying to put the zipper on. And the first thing I say is, I'm not doing anything weird, I promise. My zipper just broke off. And she started laughing. And she goes, oh my God, that sucks so bad. I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. She does her business, comes out, washes her hands. She's like, are you wearing anything underneath? Are you wearing like shorts? I'm like, no, all I have is this like sheer top. And like, I kind of show her and she's like, no, it's cute. I think
it is cute, to be fair.
You can get rid of it. I'm like, yeah, but it's like, so like my boobs are out and like, I just like, you could tell that like, this isn't part of my outfit. She's like, no, it's cute. I think it'll work. Like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I wish there was something I could do. I'm like, no, that's fine. Don't worry. I've texted my girlfriends. They'll realize that I'm in here eventually. Texted and called both of them. Neither of them received it. And I was like, you know what? I'll play the waiting game. So I just waited on the bench with my fucking top down.
So, and my side is that because she's scarfed down this like pasta that she hasn't had like rich food like that in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun talking to our friend for a minute. And then both of us are having the look where we're both like, this is taking a while, right? And I was like, man, she's probably in there shitting herself. So then I and my phone is always face down and it's always on silent. And I don't it's forever on silent unless I'm expecting an important phone call. So now I know when she goes to the restroom or when someone goes to the restroom, I'm going to flip it the other way so I can
just
see it.
Yeah.
And I look and she has messaged me SOS. She's messaged me on Instagram, messaged me on Facebook, and and called me.
Yeah. So
I call her back because it's been 15 minutes, y'all.
Uh-huh.
She's been gone for 15 minutes. And I flip my phone over and it's like SOS. And I pick up and I immediately say, do you need toilet paper?
Yeah.
Because in my brain, she was on the toilet and they didn't have toilet paper. And she's like,
what do I do?
Exploded everywhere.
Yeah.
No, she's like, my jumpsuit's broken and I'm looking and it's the one time I don't have a jacket. But luckily, Chloe did.
Yes.
So then we have to throw a jacket on her and then run outside and then it's raining.
Oh,
so
poor Chloe.
Chloe was like, it's cold and raining and I parked this way. So I was like, here, take your jacket back. And then I just have to run behind her because her thong is hanging out. Yeah. And she's got it tucked as pants. And be very clear from the front, super cute outfit. Beautiful yellow pants. sheer black top, but it's got like, she's got the black bra underneath it. So it's looking very red carpet. But then from behind, there's this big triangle thong in the back. So I'm just running behind her with a
shielding. And there's like cars behind us. It was so fucking funny. It was probably the funniest thing. Again, the funniest thing that's ever happened to me in a restaurant. And I genuinely am terrified of wearing one pieces to restaurants now. I will never wear a one piece.
Because your hands are Man Perkins.
I'm Man Perkins. I'm too fucking strong. And the clasp that used to be there was also broken off by me. So fucking classic me. Moral of the story. That's my win for the week, is the fact that my fucking one piece broke, and I was like, I'll just wait in the bathroom for my friends.
And that you laughed at it. I think the
thought it was so
win
funny.
is that you think it's funny, and you're not mad at your friends for taking 15 minutes.
I was like, they're gonna realize eventually. I'll just wait here.
And that you can laugh at it and not be like, oh no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. What was your win?
My win for the week is, I'm going to pivot slightly and make it slightly more depressing, is I realized yesterday when we were in that oncology appointment that I was looking for an actual solution for Waffle's cancer, that I was like, hey, I'm going to save this dog.
I'm going to find the cure for cancer.
Yeah, I'm going to find the cure so she lives forever. And I had the realization in that appointment that I was like, she's going to die. Mm-hmm. Like, eventually she's going to die, and there isn't anything you can do to save her forever. But what you can do is advocate for her. And the very moment that she is in pain, that her life is not as like beautiful and magical. And it's also the realizing that like she has a great life, and we are great like dog parents and dog family. Mm-hmm. But having that realization that I was like, the moment that the quality of her life goes down, you will like put her down so she doesn't have to live like her remaining time in pain.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that I would have the strength to do that. Because I'm always like, man, how do you know that time? And like when we first got the news, I didn't know how I would know. Mm-hmm. And it hit me with such clarity yesterday that I was like, I don't want her to spend a single day in pain. So the moment that like it comes back, before she reaches a point where the quality of her life is low, we will make that decision. Yep. And that was a huge thing for me, because it's relieved a lot of the pressure of like, you were trying to save her so she'd live forever, but she can't.
And like, no one can.
Yeah, like nobody lives forever. Mm-hmm. So yes, you're getting more time because time's the only non-renewable source we have. Mm-hmm. But that was just a big like weight lifted. So it's a very different, dark way of putting it.
No,
than
I think
your
it's
realization, because I just wanted you to tell the story of your jumpsuit, because I think it's hilarious.
We pivoted to cancer.
We pivoted to cancer and death.
That's so classic us. No, I think it's beautiful because you're very solution-based person.
I am. And if I can't find a solution, you
typically shut down.
Yeah.
You typically are like, it's the end of the world. Everything's useless and pointless. And this is a way more beautiful way to come out of it, where it's like, no, how beautiful is it that like, we are the type of people that all of our morals are so aligned that it wouldn't even be a question that like, no, the second she's in pain, we're all ready.
Yeah.
You know? And how beautiful is it for you to realize that like, again, we all die.
Yeah.
You know?
Now I just have to convince Caboose to let me keep her skull.
Oh my God.
I'm hyper focused on this. I want so bad, because when you say I want to keep a part of her, I don't want to do ashes, because we know that when they do cremations, it's a bunch of
little bit of
things.
everyone.
Yeah, and I don't want everyone else's dogs.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Waffles doesn't want to be with everyone else. She wouldn't want that, because she's not. She really was meant to be an only dog.
Yeah.
But that I am hyper focused on wanting her skull, and I'm hoping that this time built can like get Caboose to be like, fine, whatever, keep her damn skull. Because he is a little bit more traditional than me.
Yeah.
In the fact that he's like, that's weird. And to be fair, I did think it's a bit odd that people have like animals, carcasses around. And I think it's kind of weird. And then now I'm like, no, that feels like the correct like thing to do for her.
Now you get it. I mean, I think it's a beautiful symbology of like, how can we honor the ones that have passed? Mm-hmm. And I feel like keeping that part now, like keeping her skull, is a way of like, people use like skulls and stuff to decorate their houses, but like this is the most honorable thing of like, you know, it's a constant, like, no, you're with us.
Especially because I'm aware that you guys won't let me have her taxidermied, because I really, ideally, in a perfect world, I would have her taxidermied, but I'm not talking like a great taxidermy job. I want it to be...
They're never great.
I want it to... Museums sometimes have good ones.
Sometimes.
I want it to be a really bad taxidermy, because I feel like that embodies her as a dog, where she's so fucking weird that I'm like, that would be phenomenal, because that would honor, like, the spirit of her as an animal is the most...
She's
fucked
odd.
up. What the shit is happening?
She's an odd one.
And just a really bad taxidermy, because people will walk in like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's her soul, dude. Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's who she was as a dog.
Yeah.
Right, well.
All right. So on that note, now that we have covered wardrobes and cancer and death, thank you guys so much. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or you want to reach out, please contact us. You can leave a comment if this is on YouTube, or you can send us a message on Instagram at tattoo_.
Yes.
Homewreckers. Mm-hmm. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you back next week for another part of ADHD is my superpower. Superpower.
Okay. Bye.